Well, hi, Phil.
Hey Josh.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Happy Monday to you. Tuesday.
Happy
Happy
Monday.
Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. Wait. It's not Monday. Phil, come on. It's not Monday.
Monday. Crazy.
Well, are you ready for the top 5 hockey card sales from last week?
Let's get into it. It's been good lately. Let's hope it keeps going.
It is. This is a fun group of cards to talk about. So I'm very
Okay.
excited to get into it. And with that, we'll roll right into, well, we're going to start off with a tie again, second week
Okay.
in a row, but this time it's at number 5. So our first number 5, I guess, is how we'll put it, is this 1980 tops being the keyword, Raymond Bork, rookie PSA 10, sold for 8,700 US dollars on May 4th during the Fanatics Weekly. Now, again, this is the tops version, so it's your favorite scratch off, Phil. You see right
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
right
it.
above the defense. You can scratch that off. The Bork name, of course, is hidden under the scratch off materials. What's interesting about this card, very low pop, tough to gem. So PSA 10 population is 7
Oh,
on this
wow.
card.
Well,
Mm.
that's the price then. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
And
big
then if
one.
you compare it to the Bork's O-Pee-Chee that has no scratch, that PSA 10 pop is 36. So very rare, obviously, with only 7 PSA 10s. And this sale of 8,700 US dollars is a new record sale per card ladder
Wow.
sales history. So I could only find 8 total sales ever of this card in card ladder going back 21 years, right?
Holy moly.
The previous high was set in 2022 when it sold for 4,700 US, so $4,000 more. A pretty significant Bork sale. Now, first thing I want to know from you is, if you had to buy this card, would you crack it and scratch it and then sniff it?
Yeah, 100% in that order. Absolutely. Yeah, I would love to scratch that card. So I
Yeah,
guess
giant waste of 8 grand, but sure.
what do you call the lint that you scratch off like the shavings? Do
I
they
don't know.
That so the shavings isn't part of the surface to grade the card, right?
I
Like,
believe it is, and that's like a lot of the unscratched ones can still be like it can be very faded and spotty there, and so this is fairly consistently black.
okay, and it's an older PSA slab. I mean, no one's gonna do it, but it would be amazing to crack this and send it back. Gets like a PSA 7, you know?
You think so?
Well, it's just it's very the variables of that puck area to scratch seem how would you grade a bingo card or a scratch in I don't know
Yeah,
what
I
you guys
don't
got in
know.
the States, you know?
Do they have scratch off lottery tickets in Canada?
Yeah,
Dumb
yeah. Oh,
question.
yeah.
Okay, we
Big
do.
time. Yeah, they're part of our Facebook mom groups.
Really?
Wow.
My dad's uncle won $1 million on a scratch off.
$1 million. Wow.
Mhm.
That's kind of frustrating. $1 million. It's like
Well, then it becomes
you're
600,000 by
not
the time you get it.
yeah, and you're not rich. What do you do with it? Do you invest it? Do you spend it?
You
It's like
buy a
$5
new,
million dollars.
you
It's a
buy a
curse.
nice car, and you get yourself into go on a nice vacation, and then you're broke
I
again.
wouldn't.
That's what
I
happens.
wouldn't buy a car at all. I'd keep my truck. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Well, good one at number 5, and now like I said, we have a tie. So tied at number 5 is this 1982 O-Pee-Chee Wayne Gretzky PSA 10, sold again for 8,700 US. Now, the PSA 10 pop of this card is pretty low again, not quite as low as the Ray Bork at 32. And just like with the Bork, it's a record sale. This is the most ever per card letter sales history paid for any copy of this card. Now, two-part question. Are you a fan of the early 80s Gretzky cards?
Yeah.
And do you own a decent copy of this card already?
I do not own 82 Gretzky. The 82 O-Pee-Chee, the 82 Tops design is one of my favorite hockey cards. Very simple. I like the
Mhm.
square top border and the rounded bottom. And that sounded kind of funny. Big fan of this card. I love it. I think it's great, worth every penny. I'm gonna guess it's a set collector trying to finish this. It's or just a player collect, right? Wayne
Registry
Gretzky.
guy, maybe too.
Yeah, big time. I know what it
Mhm.
feels like to want to get those PSA 10 slabs. So good. Congratulations to the owner.
Yep. And again, pretty low pop at 32 PSA 10s.
Would this be an investment card?
Oh, I
Like
think so.
yeah, third year Gretzky PSA 10. Yeah, I guess that's an investment type of card. Eh?
Well, I mean, compare this now to like a limited, like what do you think has more value? Okay, so there was, and I'm sort of spitballing here, so I might
Yeah,
be a
give her,
little
give
bit
her.
inaccurate on the price, but we just had a Gretzky record sale, I think on like a 2021, the Cup limited logos. when he was in the Rangers. It's got the auto. It's got the Rangers patch that's game used. But it's like a what? What is that? 16th year of the Cup limited logos.
Yeah, and it's that Wayne's like
And that's all for like
15.
12,000 US. And it's like, what do you feel like 25 years from now? What carries more weight, do you think? A Playing Days. This was the only real option in 1982. There's not, this is it.
It's like a real hockey card. Not
Yeah.
that the other one isn't, but this is like a real hockey card.
I almost as cool as the beautiful. I remember that card specifically. As beautiful as the patch was, as awesome as Wayne's auto is, I might feel slightly better about. And again, this is a pop 32, and it's the only option from 19. Oh, well, there's the tops, of course.
Yeah, but you are basing. I'm not harping on grading. I'm not. I'm addressing a realistic, objective issue. This card is worth this money to the buyer because one person at a company, a third-party company, said it's almost perfect, if not perfect.
Yeah.
That scares me so much more because no one's going to go into that limited logos card. Well, I mean, they might, but we'll say morality is in check. No one's going to go in there and take out the game used little rectangle, and that's always going to be a game used fabric. It's always going to have his autograph on there. And I don't, that's always going to be a museum piece type card. I'm with you. I think I'd still rather this card, but I would like to be the judge of if this card looks good.
Yeah, you have to always do your own assessment. That's you want to make sure that you agree with that grader's assessment. And I do have a leaning towards Playing Days stuff. Like that has always had a little bit more appeal to me, which is why, like, with Wayne Gretzky, I think it's the 1998 Sign of the Times auto, which is one of the very first ish on card autos of Gretzky, but it's still during his Playing Days career. So that's probably the one auto I would really love to have.
You'd have to bring it up though every time. Like, let's say you're trying to sell that card. 3 out of 10 people maybe might know that, right?
Sure.
They're just going to see a Sign of the Times card. I don't like it when you have to sell a card when you're trying to sell it. That's not I like when you look at a card, right away what it is. Oh my God, I just thought of something. Wouldn't it be nice if a card should be graded over $1,000? Wouldn't it be nice to get three graders at PSA's opinion, and then you take the average? It'd be nice if they had a program like that, because when objective grading comes, computer grading, AI grading, whatever, everything's going to change. Everything is going to change, right?
Yeah.
It's and that scares me way more than anything we've talked about. So, and that day will come. It will come. It's not going to be human grading in 10 years. It's absolutely not going to be.
Well, when you talk about like 25 years down the road, a big part of my hypothesis is that the hobby will still be very popular. Between now and 25 years, there's going to be more and more cards produced. There's going to be tens of thousands of Wayne Gretzky post-playing career cards, from the very most common to the a limited logos type out of 10 with a game use patch. And that when you take the current amount of Gretzky cards and double it, that there's going to be, in order to find or to distill that huge amount of variety down to what's truly special, that there's going to be some sort of criteria that the hobby generally agrees on, right? And so one of those things that I think, who knows what'll happen, but is that there could be a emphasis on Playing Days over post-retirement cards.
Well, then let's start. So let's make the acronym. Oh, that's a PD card. What's that? Playing Days.
Okay.
I mean, we're part of the culture, right? We got to start saying it, because that's not a thing. Oh, that's a Playing Days card. Like, huh? Oh yeah, okay. Like, you want it to be part of the hobby culture. So let's start it. PD. That's a PD card.
PD. All right, I like it.
Yeah.
Good job. How do you feel? Are you sore? You just birthed a new hobby term.
There we go.
All right, let's move on to number 3. This is a very interesting one. So the third highest sale last week is a iconic card, one of the most iconic cards, the 1951 Parkhurst Gordie Howe rookie. Now this is a PSA 4 that's over $9,000 US. At PSA 4, Phil, the pop count for Gordie Howe rookies is 77 and does not sell very often. So in the past 2 years, only 4 PSA 4s have sold per card letter sales history. And with any sale like this, and it's a lower grade, high value card, it's a game of trade-offs, in my opinion. The card is going to have flaws. There's no PSA 4 that really doesn't.
Hmm.
And so it's a matter of, do the flaws on the card distract you from enjoying that card? Do they take away from the eye appeal, etc.? And now when you look at this particular copy, it's got a couple of really nice things going for it. First of all, the left to right centering, which is a big deal for a lot of people, is not perfect, I don't think, but pretty close and good enough, I would say, for a PSA 4. There's wear on the corners. Now remember, these were collated in a cement mixer, so that kind of makes sense, but it's pretty even throughout the card. So again, I think the two biggest issues are the top to bottom centering, where it's like a little too much to the top. But for me, what really trips me up on this card is the yellow. It's almost like a highlighter color in the picture of Gordy. It's like somebody took a yellow highlighter and colored in, and it's a little bit hard to see maybe on the screen, but it's even over his eyes, like Robin's like
Yeah,
eye mask.
it's pretty easy to see. Is that's a registration issue? No, like
I think so. Yeah, it's
the
the yellow
yellow
printing
plate just
plate.
meh.
I couldn't enjoy this card for ninth.
No.
I would be so annoyed
Hmm.
by now. If you're a centering guy and that's the most important thing to you, then maybe this is a copy. But I can't get past that yellowing.
Yeah, it's a bit much. It blurs the card too much for me to enjoy it.
Mhm. As far as like the price goes, I think that this is like fairly in the range that
Is it?
these
Yeah, I
typical,
don't.
yeah, 8 to 9
No idea.
grand US is what a PSA uh, 4
So do
sells
you think
for.
the guy bought this card because it's a 4, or he bought this card because he likes it centered? I'm gonna guess it's the 4.
Maybe. I don't
Maybe.
know.
I'd lean towards that.
Sometimes though, even people with a little bit more money probably do the same thing. Do you ever impulse like get swept up in the moment, like in an auction,
Oh
and
yeah.
then realize after you bought the card that
Yeah, maybe.
maybe I
I
should have looked at it for like 30 more seconds?
Yeah, add 2 zeros to my net worth. I'm making ridiculous purchases. Like
Yeah.
with the knowledge I have, out the window. I don't care. Let's have a fun day. You know.
Okay, moving on to number 2 from last week
Oh, nice.
is a 2005-06 Upper Deck Ice Alexander Ovechkin Ice Premier's patches. This is out of 10. It's an RPA BGS 9.5, but with no auto grade, which is kind of interesting. Usually you always get that auto grade on it. The auto does look pretty nice
We'll
though.
give it
So
a 10. That's a tenner.
sure, sure, tenor. We'll call it that. Now the patch is player worn from a rookie photo shoot. And so last sale of this card, this exact card, sold a year ago in the
Way more,
Fanatics
right?
Weekly for
Yeah,
16,200 US.
this seems cheap.
Yeah. So, and I was trying to like figure out. So I'm assuming if it's the same person that they're pretty disappointed as the seller, and it's like, geez, you just broke the record like a month ago. I just took
Yeah.
a $5,000 hit
Yeah, it took a bath.
on this card, and to me, it's like if you had to explain, other than hey, a card's only worth what somebody was willing to pay for it that day, right? And we all have to that these this is not a stable market by any stretch.
No. No, it's a crazy market. It's everyone thinks crypto's nuts. Buy sports cards. Way worse.
Mhm.
Way worse. At least you have a chance in crypto.
But like on this one, what I think is from like putting on your investment hat, this is an off the beaten path sort of OVRPA, and I think you're going to have a little bit more risk than you would with like a flop, like a Future Watch Auto patch or something like that. And so I'm
Guy,
not like
you don't want
completely
to know
shocked.
part. Every show, all the shows, I hear it. Oh, you sure you don't want this ice? This used to be a really big card before. It's always a guy my age or older saying that, right? Maybe
Yeah.
like 35 plus. They're not anymore. There's not going to be, if anything, I think all these ice cards will go down, the ice premieres. I think they'll
Mhm.
just keep going down. They're nice cards. But if there's not a resurgence of the set, you
Yeah.
know, this is a really nice card. And I like ice. I like some of
I do
their
too.
products,
It's
but it's not a staple. Like it's not a future watch. It's not going to be an outburst. You
yeah.
know, that's a bit unfair. Sorry, Ice. Outbursts are pretty awesome.
Well, like I said, it's just a good reminder that there's nothing, or there's no bulletproof card in the hobby,
Mhm.
right? And sometimes you're going to take a hit, and so when you buy a card, even, and I think we both share this, like, that we never pretend to not care about the money, especially if you're spending into the 4 figures or 5 figures on a card,
Yeah,
it does cross your mind.
should be on your radar. Yeah.
But when you buy a card, you got to make sure you're really going to love it, because if you do lose a few grand ultimately when you move on, then you chalk that up to, well, I spent, in this case, $5,000 enjoying the card for 4 years.
Like I said before, I don't want to have to sell the card when I'm selling the card. That's frustrating. So if this card in 5 years, there's a 23-year-old massive Ovechkin fan, and he's like, okay, I'll give you $8,000 US. And you're like, oh my God, this kid doesn't realize how special this card is. Maybe because it's not anymore. All right. Maybe because the card is not special anymore. And sometimes the younger people do know best. And if in that particular moment, if he's your buyer, well, that's going to suck, you know?
Case change, right?
Yeah.
And that's when you can't.
Even
hard
here's
to
a good
fix.
example. I thought Young Gun exclusives could be untouched. Exclusives and high gloss. Man, I was wrong, right? Silver outburst,
Yeah.
red outburst. Exclusives don't even look that enticing anymore, right?
Yeah,
They don't.
I haven't really thought about that, but I
They're
wonder if
not.
it has taken some of the allure away from
Yeah,
those.
it's and that's unfortunate because absolutely love exclusives, but they've taken a bit of a backseat. I look how happy I am about my silver Mitchkov outburst,
There
right?
you go.
Yeah,
Alright.
and there's way more than 100 of. There's what, maybe 500 of them? Who knows?
I don't know. Probably a little
Yeah.
bit more than that, actually.
Okay.
Okay. Number 1 is a very interesting card from a grading perspective. I can't wait to talk to you about this. The top selling card last week was a 1979 O-Pee-Chee Wayne Gretzky PSA 8. Decently common card. It was pop 832, but it's over a big number, 21,600 US. Now you might be thinking 21,600 for an O-Pee-Chee PSA 8. What is this, like 2021 or something? Well, you would be right. In the past 2 years, 80 PSA 8s have sold publicly, and by far, this is the biggest sale. The
Hmm,
average sale price for a copy of this grade over the past 2 years is just 12,370 US. So
interesting.
then, well, why did this one sell for 74% more than the 2-year average? Because if you take the time to look at it, it's obviously ridiculously nice, but then it's sort of this cottage industry of third-party endorsements that
Oh,
have
is
been
that
added to grading. So this card
that's
has 2 of them. It has the Fanatic Superior Eye Appeal rating, putting it in their estimation, the top 5% of all 832 copies. And then I'm sure you've already noticed that gold MBA sticker, which basically means the same thing. And it is from what you can tell on a screen, it looks like a very, very nice PSA 8 copy, yeah, PSA 8 copy. And I guess before I get your comments, last thing I'll say is, in the context of these average, they sell on average for 12,000 and change. This one's 21,000. If you agree with PSA's assessment, MBA's assessment, Fanatics assessment, 21,600 could be a little bit of a deal, in that when you go up to that PSA 9, now you're talking over 100 grand US for those
yeah.
cards, right? So
It's
I
an
don't
old
know.
grade though. It's an old grade.
It's an
Makes
old
me
grade.
nervous. You can look at the PSA over the years, how they, it doesn't matter if it's modern or they tough grade, they tough easier.
Yeah.
That's kind of a fact. That's not a maybe. So it does help to get the Fanatics and the Mike Baker, those two. I guess that's kind of like what I said earlier. It'd be nice to get other people's opinions. Well, here we go.
100%.
We just
Yeah.
got other opinions. That bottom right seems a little mushy. Makes me a bit nervous. But I guess to get two other third parties approval, like top 5% approvals, what do I know?
Yeah. Well, okay. So
And it's
just
on the
considering
computer.
your own assessment, if there's 800 PSAs, would you pay this type of premium if you thought a copy was so far superior
If
to the
I
others?
personally did, my brain and
Yes.
my heart spoke well. Absolutely, I would. I would.
Okay.
I would pay the difference. I would pay the $9,000 difference. Yeah, I believe that would be worth it. Yeah, without
All
even
right. Well,
reslabbing it, I would just keep the card.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, there you go. There's your top 5 sales from last week. What do you think?
I like the variety. I'm glad we didn't see an Ovechkin flop.
Yeah. That was
Yeah, but
nice.
we got our generation's Alex Ovechkin, young gun and flop, the Gretzky here. Snuck it
There you
in.
go.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Like, subscribe, and of course, we'll be back next week. See you then.